Hi, Brandon Clayton here. Today's lesson is comparing and contrasting causation and association. What's the difference between them and why does it matter? So the TEK is 4B, compare and contrast association and causation in real world problems. So what I want to do is look at association and causation and do a couple of problems that we saw in the STAR test. However, this doesn't show up as much, and it's kind of strange a little bit because it's not so mathy as some of the other things like solving for X and inequalities and such. This is more thinking, but let's get into it and show you what I'm talking about. So what is an association? An association between two variables means that there is a relationship or some kind of correlation between those two. This association or correlation can be either positive or negative. Association does not imply causation. In other words, just because two things are associated does not mean that one thing caused the other to happen. Here's an example. If we looked at the driver deaths per million vehicles per year and the combined city highway mileage per gallon. So as the mileage per gallon increases, it looks like the driver deaths are increasing. Now, while these things are associated, it doesn't mean that the mileage per gallon is causing the deaths of millions of drivers. Well, that can be, but these things do have some kind of correlation, but they're not correlated with causation. One is not causing the other. This represents an association because an increase in the miles per gallon for a city does not cause more drivers to die. So what is causation, on the other hand? Causation is a very special type of association in which one variable directly affects the other. That's the most important thing you got to get from this video, is that causation is when one thing directly affects the happening of another thing. This is also known as cause and effect. Changes in one variable directly cause changes in the other. So here's a situation like that. If you're looking at the relationship between the oxygen levels of water and the temperature of the water. If you're familiar with science, you'll remember that as the water temperature decreases, the oxygen content increases. The concentration at which oxygen is able to be dissolved in water increases. This is showing as it increases, the oxygen concentration or content decreases. And on the other hand, if it decreases, it's able to go up. That's why fish often prefer colder waters, because more oxygen is dissolved in there. But is temperature affecting the oxygen level? Well, absolutely. So as it gets more hot, the oxygen is less able to be there. That's why, water's boiling and vapors are leaving the water and such, because it's affected by the temperature of the water. So this one would be causation. Of course, you may have to know a little bit of science and understand that, but you won't have those to be that tough. So here's a couple of problems and what I mean. What situation does not show causation? When the student population at a school increases, the number of teachers at the school increases. Does the student population at the school cause the number of teachers in the school to increase? Yeah, it does, because the more students you have there, you have to get more teachers. So this is a direct effect. The population of the students is directly affecting the number of teachers. So we can't consider that one because we're looking for one that's not causation. When the amount of sugar in a quart of apple juice is reduced, there are fewer calories in serving. Is that a causation? Well, reducing the number of sugar does reduce the calories. That directly affects the number of calories. So this is not what we're looking for, because this is causation. When there are more workers on a project, the project is completed in less time. Is that a relationship there? Obviously, yes. Does the fact that there's more workers on this project causing it to be completed in less time? Absolutely. That's a direct effect on how much time is going to take to complete that. When there is more protein in the athlete's diet, the athlete scores more points in the game. Well, that may be true, but is the protein forcing him or affecting how many points he makes? Well, some athletes may start to argue, yeah, of course. Well, this may conclude that if you can get more protein, people can get more points. But that's not the case. So the protein is not directly affecting his points in the game. Now, most commercials may want you to believe that if you're buying their protein shake, but this is not a direct correlation. Though these things are related, they may have a relationship to say it tends to be this way. The protein is not causing this person to make more points. So that's how you want to think through those. Let's go to our next problem. Which situation best represents causation? Now this is easier to understand because they didn't say not. So which one is actually causing? When the number of bus stops increases, the number of sales cars decreases. What? Those aren't even related, it seems. Are the bus stop increasing causing the decrease of sales being decreased? Again, that doesn't even make sense. You got more bus stops and cars. No, I don't even know if that's an association, if those are related at all. Let alone a causation, bus stops are not causing the decrease in sale prices. When fewer firefighters report to a house fire, the damage caused by the fire decreases. Well, isn't it the opposite? If fewer firefighters are reporting there, wouldn't there be more fire damage? So definitely the fewer firefighters reporting to a house fire is not causing the fire to decrease. If that were the case, firefighters would never show up because they're like, hey, we're doing a better job not showing up. So this is definitely not the case. When ice cream sales increase, incidence of sunburns increase. Ice cream sales go up, great ice cream sales. Is that causing there to be sunburns to increase? Well, you got to stop selling all those ice creams because the sunburns are out of control. No, then no one's ever going to say that because ice cream sales are not causing sunburns to increase. When it rains several inches, the water level of a lake increases. Well, that makes sense. When it rains, does that rain cause the water level to go up? Absolutely. That just makes a lot of sense. So that's what you want to look for with causation and association, particularly the word causation, because that's the one that comes up a lot, as you can see. Did we cover everything? That's it. Comparing and contrast association and causation in real world problems. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Brandon Clayton here, the Algebra Guy, and I will see you next lesson.